War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We are always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night. For those of you that have been here since the dawn of time, you'll know that at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, this is Auburn Family Night. We just get together and we hang out and we just talk about what is on our minds. This show is about you, the Auburn family, your questions, your comments, your derogatory rebuttals, and your calls tonight, hopefully, we'll be taking throughout the show. That is what is on tap for you. Just a roundabout, no organization, chaos driven show, just kind of bounced around a bunch of different topics. And we thank you for joining us, whether you are here watching live or watching on the replay. We'd love for you to start off the show, if you enjoy our content, by smashing that like button here on YouTube, by hitting the retweet button on Twitter, the share button on Facebook, share into a Facebook group, or just, tell a friend right now, send them a text with the link. Say, hey, come on in here, join our little Auburn family, our little E2C Network family. But right now, the last thing you could do is just use this as your check-in period to post where you're watching from. City, state, international, with a War Eagle. Would love to know who is hanging out with us tonight, spending time with us, talking about what we love about being part of the Auburn family. And that is how we get started each and every show. We'll say hello to a few of you here in just a second. What's most prevalent right now? Obviously, what feels like backslide, spiral downhill, however you'd like to describe it, of Auburn football right now. Will it ever stop? That remains to be seen. Will there be a coaching change? That remains to be seen. But there are some good things on the horizon. Basketball had their pro day today. With some, information coming out from there, some good things as well to be excited about. We know gymnastics, home meets. There's a lot of other exciting things around campus, around town, but also just amongst all the Auburn family that you might want to talk about tonight. So we'll hit some of those things tonight. If you would like to participate and be a caller on tonight and not just comment along, which you obviously are welcome to do so, you can use our call-in link at the top of the chat right now. Well, starting now, and then however you'd like to. I would stress tonight to not wait, because this is one of those nights where I will be out right at 9 o'clock, an hour into the show, hopefully a few minutes before. So I would not wait. Go ahead and get in line, and we will take your call as soon as we can, as the order that it comes in, and try to get you in and out as much as we can, and get your topics discussed tonight. So that is open now for you. If you'd like to call, do not hesitate. Let's see. We are missing Linda tonight. She posted earlier and said that she would not be here as part of the stream tonight. Sorry that we missed you. Corey's here. We got Joe checking in from Montgomery, Devin from Texas. Thomas is here. High Fly is here. I forgot to say hello. Yeah. Brian from Minneapolis is here. Dusty's here. Roe, Gracie. A lot of the usual suspects, and maybe a few new names that I at least don't recognize a whole lot, but nice to see such a variety of people from a variety of different places here tonight. We appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us. Rob just checking into. Good to see you, Rob, from Huntsville. We got Alabama represented up and down: Mobile, Huntsville, Montgomery, Birmingham, Auburn, I think. Well, Lake Martin-ish. So that's kind of the Auburn-ish area. Enterprise, all up and down, and then places like Minneapolis too. The big question is: anybody going to be at Oxford? I'd be interested to know what anybody's plans might be there. I've never been to Oxford. I would love to go one day, just because that's my goal, is to go to every single SEC school for an Auburn game, specifically an Auburn football game. Remains to be seen if I'll do that for basketball. I might start that this year. I don't know. I need to probably get a start on it. And there's lots of opportunities in basketball to do that and get it probably accomplished much quicker with the way they schedule things. So we'll see. Maybe that's what we'll make that like a big surprise this year, is like go to a men's basketball game on the road somewhere. But if you're going to Oxford, let us know in the chat. Obviously, I know the big item event to be at is the Grove, and go check that out. That's all you ever hear about. Apparently that's all Ole Miss fans care about too. And actually, I forgot to do this behind the way because I just thought I need to bring this up. We will have, and we'll talk about it more in just a little bit, our preview show tomorrow night at 8, and we do have an Ole Miss fan. So more on that in just a little bit. And also, we want to remind you that our shows are brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. We'll speak about them just a little bit later in the show as well. Back to the comments and questions. Thomas says, skip Neyland Stadium. I can't, though. See, that's the thing. I can't. If I can make it through Stark Vegas and Baton Rouge, I think I can make it through anything. I will probably save Tuscalooserville for last because I just don't. Who wants to go there? Really, honestly, who wants to throw a shoe? Doesn't involve. And if you're an Austin Powers fan, you'll know what that means. Even though that didn't tie in any way. That's just me being weird tonight. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't really have a desire to visit other SEC stadiums after things I have heard. Well, listen, here's the crazy thing about this. You know, we obviously have our orange and blue glasses on. You know, there are fans out there that say bad things about their experience they've had at Auburn, and some of those experiences were probably true. However, the collective, the by and large narrative is that Auburn has great fans, has great experience. Penn State fans were a testament to that, and their descriptions of their time in Auburn. So that's obviously something that we need to continue to do, is have a good reputation of how we represent ourselves in shirt and hair, and specifically how we represent with certain fans. Obviously, everything's out the door for Alabama, Georgia, probably LSU too, but even LSU fans, I think, had a good time this year. Baton Rouge, Oxford, College Station are my top 3 away tailgates. Well, I can understand. I find Texas A&M pretty interesting there. I would be interested that Georgia, Tuscaloosa wouldn't fall in there. Texas A&M is pretty interesting. I wanted Dion, but I realized Auburn needs an offensive line coach or a top offensive coach, so Jeff Grimes would be number 1 choice, Lane Kiffin number 2, Deion Sanders number 3. Hey, listen, we'll probably dive into that more when that time arises. There's no point in doing that right now. I know that sends a big bummer to a lot of you that – I'm not saying we can't talk about it, but we have a head coach and he's part of the team and we need to treat him like it until he's gone, as much as many of you do not like it. Which stadium other than JHS has been your favorite? Ooh, good question, Brian. Great question. I feel like we've tackled something similar to this before. So I've been to, let me make sure I got them all. I've been to Gainesville. I didn't say that earlier. So Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Stark Vegas, what's Davis Wade Stadium? Is that what it is? Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge. And is that it? Is that all I've been to? I guess it is. So out of those 3 away stadiums that I've been to, I've seen Neyland. I've seen Bryant-Denny. Not been in it, but anyway, so the ones I've been in it, I would say the best atmosphere was probably Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. That's how you say it. Ben Hill Griffin. Florida State in the Swamp. That was pretty much that was a wild experience, a great college football atmosphere, unique looking stadium, not a great setup stadium, but when you're I always said this, one of the worst setups of getting in and through the bowels of the stadium. But when you go up to your seat up there and are sitting, it's one of the best college football atmospheres that I've seen in person. Obviously, I haven't seen a ton, but for me. Rob, great question too. Has anyone been to Columbia, Missouri? I think that's going to be a lot of people's last bucket list because that is a trek. I hope one year I'm going to have something coincide with Columbia so that it makes more sense for me to travel out that way, because you really do have to commit to go out there. Like, you got to be wanting to do something out there. It's kind of like going on a trip out to LA or something for an Auburn Bowl game or one of the basketball games this year. If you're doing that out in the West Coast, you got to want to do other things with it, because that is quite a commitment unless you're just loaded with money, which I clearly am not. So I will one day go to Columbia, Missouri, but I thought about last year going to Columbia, South Carolina. Just couldn't bring myself to do it. Obviously, that was a good decision on my part. I only want a new position coach, O-line. I think a lot of people give too much flack to Will Friend. It's the easy scapegoat right now. The hand he was dealt, again, you can only play with the hand that you're dealt, but there needs to be some understanding of a lot of what's going on there, and that it doesn't matter how the best offensive line could walk into this situation and probably need 2 years to get it fixed. We're halfway through year 2, and we haven't seen a lot of improvements. So that I understand the worry. No, I was not there for the West Byram kick in 2000. That was 2019. Isn't that sad, Thomas? That when we discuss Auburn and Florida games, there's that. Like, that's not him asking, did you just go to these 2 specific ones and not the ones in between? That's the last times we played Florida. That's it. Over. The scheduling needs to stop. We need Auburn and Florida more regularly. We need Auburn and Tennessee more regularly. I mean, I'd love to play Kentucky just to have some variety, to see something other than crimson, scarlet, these versions of red that we are just stuck seeing every year with Ole Miss, with Mississippi State, with Alabama, with Texas A&M. I'd just love to see a little sky, royal blue, whatever they are, thrown in there. Devin, Alan Flanagan showed out for Pro Day today. Lots of improvement. I will support the football team no matter what, but I'm excited for basketball. Also, Bruce said Wendell has been very consistent. Saw those comments as well. In case you haven't watched his press conference, we have it available here for you on the YouTube channel. You can go watch that after the show if you'd like. It's a very short watch. We'll probably actually put out a video tomorrow. That's my goal, just kind of detailing pro days, my initial thoughts, and we'll talk about it some here, obviously, but more concrete, focused thoughts on it than just that. But yeah, those are some of the things that, some beat writers are sharing. Coach said himself. The social media accounts for Auburn basketball was very interesting with like getting out. I don't mean this but beat writer type-esque updates on Twitter, like very not matter of fact updates about things. I haven't seen them do that in quite some time. It was very interesting. Justin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Corey, Oxford probably has the most hideous looking stadium. Maybe that's why they don't want to go in there until like after, the first quarter's over, because they just don't want to be in there. I've heard before that Oxford, you know what? We will go talk to our Mississippi Ole Miss fan tomorrow and ask his opinions about the stadium. Corey, if you're going to be here tomorrow night, that's your assignment. Pose that question tomorrow night. Let's see here. Pretty sure Devin is closest to Missouri scouting trip. I don't know. I think Brian, who's watching, probably would be closer because she's in Dallas-ish, Houston. Is that what it is? If you're in Houston, yeah, Brian in Minnesota is way closer to Missouri, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. I remember in 2017 when we went there to play Missouri, people said it was weird. Well, it's the most non-SEC school that's in the SEC, even more so than Oklahoma probably will be. They are, and on the verge of becoming like Vanderbilt. We just kind of forget about them. They do enough things to keep themselves relevant, especially with other sports, but they're kind of on the verge of losing relevancy holistically in the SEC discussion. Rose Bowl was classic. Obviously didn't like the result. Yeah, but you had to love just like you said, the historic nature of what Auburn found themselves in, the last BCS national title game. And we're seconds away from winning it. And that's about all you could ask for at that moment, other than a national title, is just to be a competitive game, a great game, in a historic game, 2 great teams, crab legs and all. I tried so hard, Brian, so hard to make it to that game. And I would have still gone, even if I had known in hindsight or foresight that we were going to lose, just because of the history, the thing. And it was like a few $100s off from me being able to pull the trigger. Like I was going to fly into Vegas, drive, and basically drive back immediately after. Like that was the only way it was going to be feasible. And it was still going to be like a couple $1,000s to pull all that off. Tickets, flights. I think I had to stay in a hotel room for one night. Gas, food, I just couldn't pull it at that time. Today, I've saved. See, here's the thing. I'm sorry. I know you guys have got questions and stuff, and I'm sure we'll get callers in a little bit. I have worked really hard to save my personal money that Jessica and I, we give each other, an allowance. We are Dave Ramsey people every month that we can spend at our discretion. I have been saving like crazy for moments like that, so that when the moment comes, I don't have to hesitate. I have the money set aside to go to that. That was almost all used up by that, what would have been a Final Four trip for Auburn basketball last year. And I'd already had a hotel lined up, was ready to buy the tickets, and disappointment. Let's see. I saw Auburn women's. Which women's basketball post on Twitter an Auburn orange and blue game. Oh, yeah, there has not been a lot of promotion, aka none, about the tip-off at Toomer's event. So I think that thing is dead for the year, which is really, really sad. And I hope that this is just a one-year break, because I think the event was a huge success, and I think they should bring it back. So maybe we will see that. See what happens. All right. I know I missed a lot of you guys' questions. We'll come back to them. Let's talk to our first caller tonight. You know him, you love him. Mr. Thomas Manville. What's going on, sir?
War Eagle, Kyle, and War Eagle, everybody. How are y'all?
Hey, I think we're all in a better state of mind, better place after Saturday. And it's the funny thing, as bad as thing gets, once you get a little day separation from them, everybody just has a moment just to go, okay, that's all right. That's right. And plus, we've got other things to celebrate, like basketball and gymnastics kind of getting in the news cycle today. So there's that as well.
Oh, and volleyball. They've been really well.
Listen, for those of you who listen to the Auburn Experience podcast, I want to talk about volleyball, but I'm so scared that I will ruin what's an amazing season, because you'll know that when Austin and I started hyping them up on the show, gave them a whole segment, the next match they lost. So now we feel responsible, and they acknowledged the volleyball account acknowledged on social media our apology, but I still feel responsible. So I'm kind of scared to even mention them sometimes.
Well, look, I understand. We'll just leave it there. War Eagle. All right.
Listen, I'm excited though for them, because they are doing some great things. It has been a long time since volleyball has been something to even discuss.
Hey, all Auburn, all day. I don't care what sport it is. War Eagle, baby.
Give me tiddlywinks, whatever that is. Little, I was about to say bottle cap racing. Is that even a sport? I don't know how you would bottle carry. What do they call it? The paper football, the flick thing. If we did that, that's got something Auburn tied to it. Sign me up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. 100 debate team. I don't care.
The debate team. Oh, hey, listen. Some of these Twitter folks, they would be champs on the Auburn debate team. Well, in some ways. Anyway, that's not what you came here to talk about. What's on your mind?
Hey, first thing, good to see Dusty here. I know he's dealing with the sickness. It's good to see him up here tonight.
Yeah, I completely let slip my mind that he was still doing that, just because he's such a tough guy. I was like, oh, he's got this. He's got to be. I hope you're doing okay though, buddy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But man, I'm sufficiently calmed down from the Georgia game. I really am. Man, like I said in the post game, like it's so hard to deal with these people being bad fans, and not here. It's it's Brian Harson's press conference. It's live now, and I'll turn it on at work, and all the comments are so dadgum negative, and it just kills me, man. It really does. Like there's no reason we can't be better fans. There's zero reason we can't be better fans. It kills me. And again, if you think you're qualified, go take the job. But all right, let's transition to who do you think's the next guy to take the job if they get rid of Harsin? Because I don't see him getting rid of him till the end of the season. There's no reason to dump this guy. There's no guy that can be an interim. right now.
Yeah.
So what do you do? If you're going to dump the guy and get rid of him, who are you going to go get?
It's a great question. I mean, that was the question I was asking a year and a half ago. Who are you going to go get? And, obviously right now doesn't seem to be the greatest choice. I'm not willing to give up on that at this point because that means Auburn continues to suffer. But it is a great question to ask because you would hope that there's a plan in place if there is the decision to do that, whether it's, whether the guy to be the coach is someone that can't be available to the end of the season. You'd hope that there's a concrete plan in place to have an interim who maybe needs to cut their chops. What's the word? Stretch their legs, or just get some experience as an interim head coach. I honestly, I go back on this, Thomas. If that does happen, what will happen? Will it be at the end of the season? Will it be at all? Will it be, after this game with an interim? I wake up every morning and I'm like, oh, it's going to be an interim. Nah. Then the next day I wake up and it's like, they won't wait till the end of the season. Then I wake up and it's like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like I literally go from day to day, just changing my mind on this. Cause it's a hot mess.
Yeah, you're right. It really is. But at the end of the day, is it good for Auburn to get rid of your coach in the middle of the season, or is it not?
Unless you have a great, concrete, foolproof, ain't gonna fail plan, and I don't think you can guarantee that.
Right. There hasn't been a guarantee for many years at Auburn. Right. There really hasn't, and there's not one now. So we could make the move, so to speak, if we want to, and put someone else in place. But what does that do for the guys that are working day in and day out? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about me as a fan or you as a fan or anybody else as a fan.
Right.
What's best for the young men at Auburn University playing football right now? Right. That's really what I care about, what I'm gonna put my focus into.
Well, yeah, and I think even extend that a little bit further, Thomas, too, to this recruiting class. A lot of these guys have voiced they've voiced their support for whoever's the head coach, and this is a real big thing for them too, because if they're going to put their money where their mouth is, they really need to know that they're going to be taken care of, that their future is set with Harsin or their future set with this next guy. So the longer we live in limbo about all this, it's just going to get a little bit even more crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're 100% right. So if you fire Harsin, do you go get the rebuilding guy that gives you 2 or 3 really good years of 10 wins, maybe a SEC championship, possibly a national championship, and then he goes for another job? Or do you stick with the guy you have now that is committed to rebuilding an entire program the way it's supposed to be done under his vision? Or do you go get somebody else that's the young upstart? Or
right.
do you go get the guy that's the flashy hire? What's best for the kids at Auburn?
Well, I mean, I think that's a subjective question and answer, because I think some kids and young adults, those being the athletes, would say that what's best for me is what gets me the most money. And in some sense, I understand that. I hate to admit that that's our mentality. So I think the rebuild and leave type of scenario, the quick success, which is our society, right? We're a microwave society, is what everybody wants anyway. The days of Shug Jordan, build, falls down, build back up, are long, long gone, my friend. Shug Jordan would not survived 3 years in this, and that's always the thing that's funny about when we get into these coaching discussions, is I'm like, you characterize these coaches this way. I'd shudder to think, if you would live during Shug Jordan's time, what you'd say about him if you'd looked at some of his ups and downs. But we look at him as the godfather, essentially, of Auburn football because of what he did as a whole, not because of an intersection of a few seasons.
Yeah, every sport evolves, and you have to evolve with whatever sport you're involved in if you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, on your This is a great question. Maybe you can give some insight to this, what you think about it. Devin has asked, I keep hearing rebuild. How long should it take for a coach to rebuild? So even outside of this can even be a question about Harsin, right? Outside of this, like how long should it take? Are you personally willing to allow a coach to rebuild for you, Thomas?
I've mentioned it a time before, but if we went away from a national championship winning coach in Chiswick, gave him another 2 years and just dumped him, then hired Malzahn, we did well for here and there, but we gave him 8 years. So if you're going to give one guy 8 whole years, you need to be prepared to give 8 years of trying to figure out what's going to work next, because we went through 8 years of trying. It wasn't good enough for some people, powers that be, fan base, whatever
Right.
you want to call it. It wasn't good enough. So you have to be prepared to give at least that much more time to anything else, whether it be one coach or three coaches. You have to be prepared for that as an Auburn fan. And you can blame powers that be or Mr. Yellowwood or General Burgess all you want to, but I'm not sitting in their office and I really don't know what's going on.
Right.
So the best I can, I believe in Auburn and love it. And all day, every day, Auburn. It's just that's what I got. So I'm going to put everything I got into it. Sure, I'm mad. Sure, there's sometimes I'm absolutely frustrated. Offensive line. But at the end of the day, man, it's all Auburn all day. There is no other option.
Right. So just to summarize, you would say, with the context of 8 years from Malzahn, you would say the next coach should be given about that long, roughly about that long, to completely flip the script and change over.
Yeah, you've got to produce within the first 3 years, I would say. But I don't think that our fan base, as a majority, is willing to wait that long, because I think a lot of people are unrealistic about football, to be honest. But I'm willing to give Harsin 4 years, 4.5 seasons.
Yeah.
4 years, 4.5 seasons. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to give him that. He's a smart guy. He asks things of the scout team quarterbacks that no other head coach asks for. He asks things out of his player, and to a degree, it does fall on him. He is the head coach. He makes the decisions, but he always does. He preaches execution. So if we don't have guys that can execute, that's one thing. But if we don't have a head coach who can explain how to execute and get these guys to execute, that's a different story. But you have to be prepared for a long haul if you're going to flip something completely around. And you can believe in the myth of the boosters control everything, or you can believe in the myth of the boosters don't have anything to do with it. There is a middle ground somewhere.
Neither are true. Are true. So as much as I downplay the whole boosters narrative, I acknowledge that there are very affluent people, very powerful people. I shouldn't say that. I will say that I'm privy to some of that. Not that I have inside information that, well, I mean, maybe I do know something. Anyway, I know of enough stuff to know who pulls the strings and who doesn't for to some degree in particular areas. That was the most beating around the bush, like not saying anything concrete that I could. Listen, I love the coach, but I'm saying that was the most Malzahn thing I could have said. I said it. I
will not fault you, and I will not pull any punches, because as of 2 days ago, my source is no longer employed in a particular building at Auburn University, so I'm in the dark.
Really? Somebody is gone, huh?
They all right, I'll come clean. Sometimes you hear things when you sweep floors and dump trash and all that, and you're in the same room as somebody in a meeting.
Interesting. You might need to DM me later who that was. I know you probably can. Anyway, but yeah. So that's the big question, I guess, to give you my short answer here. How long does it take to rebuild? This is not a shock to those of you that have been watching for some time, but I'll reiterate it for those that may be new. A coach should be given, in my opinion, 4 years minimum. I sometimes say 3 to 4, given the nature of our society, our microwave society, knowing we can't wait that long. So, but really, I kind of lean more to what you say, that 4.5 or whatever. Like, there needs to be a full 4 years given to a coach, no matter what, outside of ethical, moral, cheaty, like not following the rules. Nobody actually follows the rules. Blatant, obvious problems outside of winning and losing. And yes, for some of you, that's going to be a really hard pill to swallow. And I say it. Yes, even losing seasons, because of the context of what we are decided to do from a complete changeover. Do I like it? No, but I understand that is the reality of what's been asked and said we are going to do. And so if we're going to do it, just like my friend Jameis says, if we're going to do it big, we're going to do it big then. So that's, that's the main thing I would say about that. 4 years minimum is enough time for me to see the dividends to rebuild, essentially. So final comments or questions, sir?
Let me pose a question to everyone in the chat. Since the coaching change is such a big deal, give me a yes or a no. Don't explain, just give me a yes or no. Start there. Because I don't see a point in getting rid of a man in the middle of a season when there's not a clear interim to me. There are guys that are the popular hire. There's the Zach Etheridge. Let Schmedding handle it. It's let Cadillac handle it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see a clear answer right now. Right. So realistically, give me a yes or a no. Other than that, War Eagle, everybody. It's great to be an Auburn Tiger. Love y'all. Have a great evening.
Thanks for the call, buddy.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. We have another caller on the line. We'll get to him in just 1 second here. But let me remind you of our friends at allthingsauburn.net. You can see their logo up in the... Get this right, Kyle. This way. Up in the top right there. Allthingsauburn.net. Please do visit them so you can have not just a place to stay at Auburn, but to have a whole complete, the best Auburn experience that you can have. Their location is centralized around the Auburn Game Day Center. You've seen them probably right there behind Mama Goldberg. So that's a great place to stay. Even the fact that you're right by Mama Goldberg's, you're within, 0.3 miles walking from all of the major athletic venues, Neville Arena, Jordan-Hare Stadium, Plainsman Park, and just probably a little bit longer, maybe 0.5, 0.4 miles to downtown Auburn, all that has to offer down there. Just a great place to stay at Auburn, but not just to stay, but to have a whole and complete Auburn experience. Visit them at allthingsauburn.net, and we appreciate them for helping bring the Auburn Family Night live stream to you every Wednesday night. Our caller is gone. Maybe I should have took it right then. We'll let them try to call back in just a second and say hello. Good to see you, WT, from Pelham, checking in right now. All right, here he is again. We'll give him an opportunity before his stream cuts out. There he is. What's up, Kevin?
War Eagle, I think we can beat Ole Miss.
I sure hope so, buddy, because we need it right now. The fan base needs that win.
We need to give the ball to Tank 24 carries.
What we do, but what happens when the offensive line can't give any holes to him to run to? Is that really the best thing to do?
No, pass it.
Yeah, so we could obviously pass it then, but the problem is that you've got to be able to give your quarterback time to pass the ball and not have to run for his life. Now, the great thing is, I know you're a big Robbie Ashford fan yourself. You've been preaching about Robbie since the day before. He can escape a lot of people, but these are SEC. He can, but these are SEC athletes. So no matter how fast you are, how elusive you are, you're being chased down by the best in college football. So it's a really tough situation that Auburn finds himself in. And it really, as we continue to harp on, Tank, whether it's giving the ball to Tank, throwing the ball more, we got to have support from the offensive line.
And let the Mario Austin run the ball.
Yeah, we haven't got to see him a lot lately, and that's been a little bit disappointing. There were a lot of videos of him and Tank this offseason working out together. Looks really good for a young guy. Was really excited about his future here at Auburn. It would be nice to see him again.
How is TJ doing?
Coach said this today during the SEC teleconference that he is still day to day, but he has improved. That to me just says probably not enough. That's not a confirmation. I'm just reading between the lines. I would expect Robbie to still be starting.
Will you be at the Auburn Arkansas game?
I will. I will be at the barring me being sick or anything else. I will be at the Auburn Arkansas game.
Me and my girlfriend be there too.
Well, make sure you come down to Tiger Walk. I will be there. Always by the sign.
What time is the kickoff yet?
They have not announced, so you will find out the Arkansas kickoff time probably this Monday. They usually do it 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So this Monday, maybe is it Sunday or Monday? I think it's Monday is when they usually announce those times. So just wait a few more days and you'll know.
How about the defense? The defense doing good.
Yeah, I just wish we could get them some support from the offense.
Yeah.
They've been working real hard, and I just fear that their efforts are being, I said wasted on the last live stream. That's probably too mean, but
I hope Javaris Johnson will catch some touchdown passes this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot of touchdown passes. Here's what I'll say about that. If we have 2 passing touchdowns in this game, I'm going to say we win. I'm not confident that's going to happen, but I think if we are scoring 2 passing touchdowns, I don't care if they're 1-yard passes right there on the goal line. I'm going to say we win the game. Just because, and I'm not saying we're going to win 14-0, but that to me shows that there was improvement in some area passing wise. So that's how I choose to think about it.
My final prediction will be Auburn 35 and Ole Miss 28.
35 and 28. We'll make sure you come back tomorrow night when we do our preview so you can share that again. Maybe you'll change your mind. But maybe not.
After I listen on Tiger Talk.
Yep. We scheduled it after Tiger Talk because we didn't want to conflict with that at all. I know a lot of people watch that, which is a good thing. So I can't jump into old Andy Burcham's time. What's that?
How's Tom?
We might be losing you a little bit, Kevin.
I said, how's Thomas doing?
He seems to be doing pretty good. He was just on. Seems to be in somewhat good spirits, right, Thomas?
Yeah.
he's still a little fired up, and I understand that too. But I think we're all fired up in
I'll
one or
be
two
fired
ways.
up when I get down to the Tiger Walk.
I will too, and I can't wait to meet you, buddy, on the Arkansas game. So let's make it happen. I appreciate you calling in tonight, Kevin.
How about the basketball team? What do you think about them?
Very excited about their future. Obviously, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to kind of wait and bide our time and see what we can find out about the team.
When is Flanagan and be back?
Well, he was back today. He was back today practicing. Yeah. So he seems to be whatever was going on rectified, and we'll just trust that everything's figured out. And excited to watch him.
Yeah, I'm watching the Atlanta Braves. And it's tied 0-0.
Well, you keep us posted throughout the stream. I'm gonna make that your homework for the rest of the stream. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Later. Bye.
See you, buddy. Bye. War Eagle. Always great to hear from Kevin. Please do utilize that call-in link if you'd like to. I got an itch behind this thing. So if you'd like to, don't be shy. I'm not super mean. Sometimes I am. Please do call in if you'd like to. We've got a few more minutes here. About a little less than 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes left on the show. So don't hesitate if you're wanting to call in and talk tonight. Billy McGriff, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Corey says, if we get into the red zone, I will throw a party. We all will. 35 points would be outstanding. Let's see here. Dusty points out a very unfavorable thing. Listen, Dusty, is that 131st teams? Like that's dead last? Is there 131 teams? I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I used to have like this visceral reaction to fumbles. This year has like cured me of that because this happens so much. It is. You know, as bad as things have gone for this team this year, as incompetent, I say that with all the love I can, as the offensive line has looked this year, if we could just take care of the ball, we would probably be in a lot better situation. Now, against Georgia, probably not. Yeah, we looked good to start. And, if we make a better coaching decision there, we probably not in as bad of a situation. You never know, right? How the ball bounces after that point. But hey, you just never know. Kaki Twan, I forget. Are you a South Carolina fan? I could never remember. Forgive me if you're not. We are hanging in there. Just hanging in there. Is about all we can say at this point. If Auburn doesn't turn the ball over, we beat LSU. Amen to that. So that's a win right there. Don't lose to UGA by 30 plus points. So it's hard for us to be objective, but here's a quick question for the room. Just curious. Let's say Auburn, everything happened as it did up to Penn State and Missouri. Let's say we do beat LSU by 10 points or more, which we probably could have done if we hadn't turned the ball over. Would you feel differently about this year? Like, where would you be a little bit feel better? And let's say we had a more competitive game with Georgia. Let's say they won by 10, 13 points. Would you feel differently? Just curious if anybody would change their perspective and be a little bit more patient. But it's understandable if you say no, but just curious. Thought so. Always forget that, though. Oh, Corey, Kyle, gymnastics, basketball, volleyball for Natty. You're saying the trifecta? Wow. Basketball obviously seems like no. I would argue the gymnastics with SUNY, with Darian. We brought in, I think, the number one recruit, for those of you that follow recruiting for gymnastics, that we've ever had. Well, number one overall. So maybe just by those notions, you would assume gymnastics is the most likely, maybe then basketball. And here, I'm so scared to even hint at that for volleyball. I can't even bring it up. We got to say hello to Big Sip because he's dropping the super chat. I said $30 if we beat Georgia. Here's some love regardless. Dang it, Kirby Smart. You cost me $25. Thank you, Big Simp. You're very much appreciated for helping keep the lights on here. I'll feel better if we fix the O-line. Yeah. Winning cures everything. But does it cure enough, though? The question I posed to everybody was, if we beat LSU by 10 points and say only lost to Georgia by 10 to 13 points, are you feeling better? Brian says yes. Auburn plays horrible at 11 a.m. I think we all play horrible at 11 a.m. Whoever decided that we're going to start playing football at 11 a.m., like noon should have been the cutoff. And I know it's noon Eastern time, but it should be like for Central time too. Like 1 o'clock should be the start. It doesn't work with TV schedules and all that, but it is what it is. Neil says basketball would be the most likely. It's not that I'm not confident about basketball's skill level and potential for this year. I'm just going with what I know. And the main, and this is not a dismissing of anybody on the gymnastics team that has already left, graduated. Drew Watson was the main one that left from this year, and she would probably be like the third in terms of the fans' perception of who are our best. SUNY, I mean, sometimes it's Darian's the best, but SUNY, obviously, because she's just dropping, individual titles left and right. SUNY, Darian Goborn, and Drew Watson would have been number 3. So we lost our number 3, maybe replaced her with this number. And, we got people like Sophia Groh, who's coming up and, looking very talented too. So I just look over there and I know a lot more things about them. And I can probably say more predictions confidently for them than I can for basketball, with losing Walker, with losing Jabari. And volleyball, I'm just scared to talk about them. So if we play the what if game, What if Mizzou holds onto the ball? We are what we are. Come on, Dusty. Smile a little bit, buddy. It'll be okay. I'm sending you a virtual hug. You need to smile a little bit. But you're also dealing with COVID, so I guess I should give you some slack. Probably not feeling great tonight. Let's see. Tennessee beats Bama this weekend and Georgia down the straight. Would love that. Would love to have some Tennessee humble them a little bit, but I would not set your sights on that. Here's what Auburn fans this year need to prepare for. Here's where I'm going to be the Debbie Downer. Just prepare to be hurt this year. Like, I literally was watching the Texas A&M Alabama game, and it's like, I know I shouldn't finish watching this thing because I'm going to be disappointed. Not because they're going to get blown up, but because Jimbo Fisher is going to mess this up. And what did he do? He messed it up. And I was disappointed. So just, you're going to be disappointed this year. It is shaping up to be a big game, which is going to be a huge letdown if one of them doesn't show up. Tennessee, really. We'll all be happy if Alabama doesn't show up. Why is my comments jumping around a lot tonight? You can not say that about gymnastics, Kyle. Someone named Kyle told me not to overthink about how important recruiting is. I stand corrected. Thank you, WT. Listen, I love it when I get called out of my own crap. When you do it in a loving way. No, I stand by that. Recruiting, there's way too much importance on it. And I would argue that the recruiting emphasis on gymnastics is where it needs to be. None of y'all even knew that. I did, because this is what I spend my life doing. So recruiting is important in every sport. But the word I hate that is more important is development. And there are cases after cases after cases of that being proven true. If winning cures everything, that's a problem I would be glad to work out. Are we offering Lane after the game? Throw the checkbook at him? I don't think Lane's coming. In that hypothetical situation, I don't see Lane coming here. I really don't. Yeah. Minnesota's, I forgot she was from Minnesota. Thank you for reminding us, Brian. Gosh, there's a reason that you can look in the image thing up here. I know one of those may be replaced soon, but there's a reason Suni is in our background of this, family night image every night. She is, love that girl. So happy she chose us and continues to choose us. People said Suni wasn't coming to Auburn, and they said she'll leave. Just like Cam Newton doesn't love Auburn, but he keeps coming back. There's just something about this place. Lane is a caricature. Well, he might be our caricature if so facto, if that works out. Don't trust Lane Kiffin. I get that. I really do. I will tell you, let me take a sip. Not because that was for emphasis or anything, because my throat's getting dry. I talked to someone recently just about Harsin, prospect of us changing, who would it be? And I really trust their opinions, is what they are, but also their evaluation in some sense of the character of people. And they reassured me that Lane has changed in the ways that are most important. Do I know that for a fact? No, I'm going off someone's word, but this is someone I trust very vehemently and seems to know some things. So if Lane were to become our coach, I would trust that the caricature stays where it needs to stay, and we would just get the best possible option for us, and he would continue to represent us that way, or Coach Harsin. Neil says the fact that the boosters wanted Kevin Steele tells me that the boosters have no idea what good coaching is. So you're saying that the guy who developed and built those great defenses does not coach. I'll disagree with you there. Maybe for head coaching is what you mean. That's fair. He doesn't have a good track record. His 0-1 as an interim head coach at Auburn too, but he also doesn't have a great head coaching record before then, which was a lot of people's argument against him. I just wanted him to stay because of the stability. Lane is not a loyal guy to have around, Corey says. Maybe. He stayed at FAU a lot longer than I thought he would, so I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. But Mizzou gave the game away, so it equals out. I'm going to disagree with you, Dusty. Yeah, the guy was fumbling, but again, I don't know if it was you and I discussed this live or someone else, that if the Auburn player being coached up properly to play the entire way through until the whistle doesn't knock him out of the way after he fumbles it, he falls on it, game's over, we lose. So yes, that was luck, but luck is where preparation meets opportunity, as I've told you before, not just you, but everybody. So I wouldn't discredit it. I understand what you're trying to get at there, but listen, you can only help where the ball bounces and hope that you can take advantage of it. Lane is weird. I don't want any weird coaches, Auburn. So that rules out Les Miles. That rules out Steve Spurrier. That rules out Jimbo. That rules out Mike Leach. Anybody else? Mike Gundy. That rules out a lot of coaches. Devin says the boosters are the board of trustees because it was the president, the AD, and one of the board members that tried to get rid of Tubbs. So it was really the boosters. Boosters is just the derogatory term that everybody uses now. It's Dusty's boosters. Let's see. Let's just hire Santa Claus because he can deliver a natty to us every year. I mean, doesn't he do that every year regardless at Christmas time? He does for me. I don't know about you. Can Auburn get Tim Cook to pay the boosters to go away? Tim Cook's probably got a lot more things that he wants to do with his money than completely support Auburn athletics. I'm happy that he does what he can, and that he's at least happy to be associated with us, because that's a really big name out there to have associated with Auburn. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, Big Simp. This is good news here. So let's dive into it for a second. Alan Flanagan, my hope is going to have that redemptive year that he's had, because again, I meant to do a video about this, and maybe I will, but with him having these personal issues recently that he had to work through, it's kind of kept me from doing it. If you look at where he started, came in, thought very well of, but people weren't thinking superstar, had an amazing first year, kind of comes into the second year, kind of figuring out himself, and maybe has a little bit of a down year and an injury too. Well, actually it was an injury completely. And then you come back in, you try to come back from this injury, and you're not the star anymore. You've got these two giants literally come in, have stole your show, and you're trying to get your feet back from this injury, and it's just not getting all there together. So my hope is now this guy can say, not necessarily from an arrogant standpoint, this is my team. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been building towards this moment. I'm ready to take control of this team and be the leader it needs. That doesn't mean scoring, but that means in all aspects. So I am an Alan Flanagan, is the word, I'm probably misusing it. It's probably inappropriate, but I'm just going to do it because I'm just that out of touch with sight. Simp, is that what they call it? I'm an Alan Flanagan simp. Am I using that right? Somebody tell me. If I'm not, if I just embarrass myself, you got it to share with everybody. So there you go. I agree, Dusty. I am excited for that man. 2024 recruits have emphasized how much they like Harsin & Co. An impressive recruiting haul is in AU's future with current staff. Who knows with the coaching change? Well, I would say it could be better if there's a coaching change, but we don't know that, right? It could go one of the different ways. You cannot make coaching hires and fires based off of the current recruiting, meaning if there's a pattern of not good recruiting. Obviously, that's a reason to fire someone, but that he hasn't been here long enough to have that pattern. There's this new offensive lineman, Clay Wedden, is that how you say it? That's about to flip over to us potentially. And then the 24 staff. But I agree with what Dusty said earlier, that you want guys that love Auburn, not the coach. As long as he's here with Auburn, it's part of that equation. But it's a double-edged sword, no matter which way you slice it. That momentum can be rebuilt. Would definitely hurt this recruiting cycle, though, at least in the first phase of it. All right, we've got about 3 to 4 minutes left, so I'm actually going to have to close down the phone lines. If you are calling in right now, I will let you in for like half a second in case that did happen. Someone was calling in right then, but we're going to go and close it down for everybody else. All right, I will let me take this one down. Let me remind you of a couple things, and we'll do some last-minute comments and questions before I do need to get out of here tonight. As always, check out the links in the description. Please do check out those things down there. The Booster Club, patreon.com/E2C Network, where you get yourself some extra perks for $1 a month or more, depending on what tier and what kind of things you want. Or you can just stay here on YouTube, be a channel member. You can drop super chats. You can hit the thanks button down there. There's PayPal. There's our TeePublic store with our War Dustbuster t-shirt. All of those things. Any way that you would be willing to help support, even if it's just being here and smashing the like button. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., don't miss it. Auburn Ole Miss preview. We have an Ole Miss fan coming to say hello. I don't know this individual as well as I've known our last opposing fans being here, so it'll be interesting to get to know them, but also get to know the Ole Miss Rebels and their perspectives on Lane. We'll ask him if he thinks we're going to steal his coach. Do they hate their stadium? All that kind of stuff. Do they just prefer to be out there having hottie toddies? It's all on the table. Don't miss it tomorrow night because it'll be a fun one, I am sure. All right, let's get through some final comments and questions here. E2C for life. Thank you, guys. Yes, Kyle, you used the term simp correctly. Thank you. I am not an old fart yet. I am a Alan Flanagan simp in the best possible way that I can be. Dusty, I talked to someone in the recruiting space, like that's their job recently. And I asked them, is it as going as poorly as some would have you believe? And he told me that, yeah, it kind of is, but he didn't say like there's nothing that can be done about it or there's not things that be made. So at the time that I spoke to them, there were some real concerns from some of these guys that do this in and out. And that comes straight from someone who works for that. But yes, there's a lot of painting by entities that have vendettas, and yeah, it's just a toxic soup right now in the media, social media space. Simp is a foolish person for according to Google. So guess what? If I'm a fool for loving Alan Flanagan, then I want to be, because I am all about Alan Flanagan this year. Appreciate your kind words. Thank you guys so much for reminding people to smash that like button. If Kiffin did come to Auburn, Ole Miss would have heart attacks. It would be hilarious though. So just from the novelty factor of watching Ole Miss fans lose their mind would probably be worth it to have Lane Kiffin come here. I agree with that, Neil. I agree. Let's get that win this weekend. Katie Johnson simp. Hey, I'll be a simp for the whole team here. I will. I kind of figured it was a sarcastic post, but I was playing along with you. I know that probably frustrated you too. I was trying to get you a little bit there, buddy. Did it come across as I actually was buying that? Interesting. I must be a lot more good at hiding how I truly feel about things sometimes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the stream tonight. Apologies for getting out a little bit earlier, but I do have somewhere to be. Tomorrow night, be here, 8 p.m. We're going to meet with an Ole Miss fan, talk with them about the game. It'll be fun. Hope to see you here. And I'm excited to continue to put out some more content for you guys here on YouTube, on our social media platforms, on our podcast. Lots of other podcasts coming out this week. There's lots of content from us this week. Don't miss out on it. Thank you for being here and being with us, though, because we appreciate you so much for choosing to be part of our little family within the Auburn family and part of our E2C Network family. Until we talk to you guys again, we're Eagles.